We did it, Joe. Dan's video influenced NBA basketball narratives. They bought it hook, line, and sinker.
You know who else who bought it? Heat fans.
Oh, yeah.
They are dumb. I got it shared in group chats by some of the biggest Heat marks you'd ever find.
But what was really great was getting it in group chats from people who are not Heat fans, who were roasting Dan.
Did they not see Dan break?
I think nobody actually watches video.
That's true.
And they just looked at the pull quote.
He looks so fat.
Which is why we had that pull quote.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate angle for him.
Yeah, not good. He looked really bad. And so did his quote-unquote reporting that, by the way, Barry Jackson also took as fact. Dan confirms our reporting. It was incredible.
To the original point about the Heat marks. B-Jax ran with it.
I just can't believe anybody watched that video and thought that those were Dan's words, but it immediately changed the national narrative too.
Given the reaction to it, I now think it's possible to trick people into thinking Khalil Ware is good.
Khalil, no. It's crazy to think that not but 2 hours after Dan said that and we put it out on social media, that Brian Windhorst started saying, well, the Warriors package isn't very good, and hey, that Heat package might be better than the Warriors and actually somewhat feasible. And now, as of this morning, it seems like he's saying, well, I think he'll stay with the Bucks, but if not, it's the Heat.
Coward.
Something better happened today.
This Greek coward. Something better happen, or I'm gonna lose my freaking mind.
Basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man to man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
Zaslow, I'm super frustrated, okay, because I have not done the things that I have tried to do over the course of a career that is painfully long. To have this portion of my career be me as an old man chasing people off my lawn because of the way you guys are bleeping with me. All right, you know I don't want to do Radio Row most years, so you tricked me to doing trade stuff. This week you want to do trade deadline stuff when I've said for years the only thing that happens at the trade deadline is George Hill gets traded. Now you guys are all excited about Giannis, and so we're doing extra show today, a lot of extra show today. We're going to do a live stream after the show around the trade deadline, and the only reason we're doing it is so you could see our reaction to, did they get Giannis or did they not get Giannis? But I think we're just going to be sitting there for 2 hours because I think before that, the whole thing's going to fall apart because of, you've seen Windhorse's reporting, he's now gone from 51-49 to 60-40. He's not going to be traded.
Wow.
He's moved the number.
9% moved the last 24 hours.
Windy is on Get Up every day. They're working him to death. Put it on the Poll at Le Batard Show. Is ESPN trying to kill Windy?
Why do you always pull George Hill? I mean, Jimmy Butler was traded at the deadline last year. Like, there are so many superstars that move at the deadline.
No, but he's right,
and
though.
You
George
keep going
Hill.
back to George Hill.
George Hill was always the piece of a championship team that needed to make a move.
It
was
is
always
Dennis
George
Schroeder
Hill.
now.
It's a fallacy. Dan makes every trade deadline about the George Hill acquisition when that was an outlier.
I have allowed you guys to take Super Bowl week and turn it into trade deadline week. It's on me. I'm bad at sending boundaries around here. But as I complained to you guys about, I'm tired of being the old guy chasing kids out of my yard, I'm explaining to everybody I'm playing whack-a-mole using a phrase that an old man would use that young people don't understand to describe how it is you guys make me feel, because I can never hit everybody because something else pops up. The thing you guys did to me yesterday, making me look that fat with your AI distortions on my lower body. The thing that you guys did yesterday to me while I was in a poorly acted hostage situation, reading words that Jeremy wanted me to read about the Heat. What are you shaking your head
I don't know
about?
what you're talking about.
It couldn't have been that poor because it did the job. I think we accomplished what we wanted yesterday. That's not poor.
Well, you
It
accomplished...
did. It's actually frightening how easy it is to shift the national narrative. And all it took was you caring, which honestly pisses me off about the Miami CFP thing, but we'll leave that for another day.
You look good there.
You guys distorted that to make me look like that. I do not look like that. You guys.
What?
Whoa.
What happened?
All right, so just to explain to everybody exactly how this got...
No joke. You look like fat bastard.
Explain. Come on, guys. You can't keep expanding this.
For the audio audience, Dan keeps getting fatter.
That's the one I
Small your
remember.
head is.
That's the one I remember
That's the
yesterday.
original.
The Mangino Abbey has competition.
All right, so just explain to people what it is that happened with anybody picking up the nonsense of yesterday. Now, the starting point, Zaslow, on this is I'm in another room and I'm acting very poorly. I'm acting very poorly as if I'm doing something under duress and against my will. But I want it to be believable enough that it gets picked up, and I don't believe I executed that. I don't believe what I gave you guys with your distortions making me that fat. I don't believe that what I gave you guys was usable. What do you mean it worked? What do you mean it got? What do you mean it got picked up? It was terrible.
Barry Jackson ran with it as fact.
The media ran with the words that came out of that picture.
You didn't run. They ran, though.
My stomach hurts.
You're laughing. All right, I'm sorry to do this to the audio audience, but I'm promising you, if you're not on YouTube right now, this is worth it to see how it is that they've used these distortions to inflate me and make me even more insecure about my weight than I already am. And I'm plenty insecure about it the way it stands, but the way your back hurts from laughing, Chris.
Your hand is still the same size.
And so's my head. My head is the same size. The rest of me keeps inflating, and that looks totally realistic. It's the part that's infuriating about it is how realistic that looks.
You look like Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
No, you got me as fat bastard. It looks like fat bastard. You got me. And the body shaming's out of control. And you guys don't believe that we're going to be waiting today because we're doing a live stream after the show for 2 hours. You don't think we're just going to be sitting around fooling around? You think we're going to be announcing a Giannis trade but the trade deadline's at 3 o'clock. You guys think this is what Wendy is saying on Get Up this morning, okay?
Tell you what, if we don't get a Giannis trade 301, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I read the Windhorse report, but I'd handicap the chances of Giannis at like 40%, given what happened with Golden State. That's pretty good. But something better happen. If it's not Giannis, it better be Ja. This is a legacy day for Pat Riley.
Really?
He needs to do something.
Really?
Something needs needs to be
Really?
done.
Put it on the
Yes.
poll at Le Batard Show. Is this a legacy day for Pat Riley? I got to think if there's a legacy that's secure, it would be that one. But I just saw Bill Belichick not get put in the Hall of Fame, so what do I know?
I don't want to make it about us, but you can't do what Riley did the other night with Jeremy and I about I got Ellisberg going after Wales and then not.
Wait a minute,
get
but he's
him
been
here.
doing that for years.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying, like, on the week of the trade deadline, coming out and being like, I got my guy going after him.
When Pat Riley arrived to the Miami Heat, he changed the organization by making a big-time superstar acquisition. He traded Glenn Rice and he brought Alonzo Mourning.
November 3rd, 1995.
And
sad
then
day for me.
every single build around the core was centered around let's acquire a superstar. And sometimes I got it in the draft, which was rare because they were never in the lottery, but it would be let's go out and get Shaq. Let's go out and get LeBron. Let's build for 3 years to get LeBron. And it's not a small amount of years anymore. It's been 5 years where that's always been the plan. Let me get somebody next to Jimmy Butler that's better than Jimmy Butler. It's obvious to everyone. And he struck out and he struck out and he struck out.
Well, not just striking out, it's that they didn't go all in because they've been waiting for someone like this.
And he got passed by other teams in his conference that were more aggressive.
You got it as striking out, and the place that I would just slow you a little bit on, because they did make 2 finals appearances, and one of the strikeouts was Bradley Beal, and one of the strikeouts was Dame Lillard, and those would have been disasters, okay? In retrospect, disasters. Both of them, if you get the Beal contract, because when people are excited about the Beal contract, like you say striking out, and you're not wrong. One of the big ones is obviously Kevin Durant. The Rockets are formidable, at least in part because they were formidable last year, and now they've added the kind of guy that you would want to have. But strikeout, I would say, is a little strong when you've had a couple of finals appearances in 5 years. You got Jimmy Butler when you didn't have the ability to get much of anything, right? You got out from Hassan Whiteside and Deion Waiters and ended up with Jimmy Butler when you didn't have anything to offer. But since then, we've been saying the player has to be better than Jimmy Butler. Now what we've seen since is the consensus of, Bam's a number 2. He's forever a number 2. Useful, not good enough. Not consistent enough, not aggressive enough, not big enough, whatever it is. Bam's not a number 1. You went as far as you could with Jimmy Butler. Now the idea is, can you put someone next to Bam better than Jimmy Butler because you failed to get anyone for Jimmy Butler? But here's what Windhorst says on Get Up this morning. I've been at 51-49 against the trade, against Giannis being traded. Not against it personally, but against thinking there will be a trade. I'm now at 60-40. Minnesota's still out there, but I'll be honest with you. I don't think Minnesota offers was as good as Golden State's. And if Golden State's offer wasn't good enough, I don't think Minnesota's is realistic. That leaves Miami. Miami is making a player and semi-draft pick offer. It's a decent offer, but unless there's a secret thing going on, I'm not feeling Giannis moving right now. Well, of course, there might be a secret thing going on because the Miami Heat do not leak any of this stuff, and none of this information ever comes from the Miami Heat.
Just telling you, Dan, nothing happens. 3:01 p.m. Peace out.
Okay, but we're going to be here doing a live stream and preparing for a live stream, and I believe that there are a lot of fart noises around the trade deadline, and that most years we get very excited, and then because of our expectations, we end up getting some form of disappointed, especially here in Miami over the last 5 years.
I think if you're the audience, you're rooting for an uneventful NBA trade deadline for the Miami Heat because they're going to be fireworks either way.
You want Zaz mad at 3 p.m. because we didn't get him.
They will get skewered, rightfully so, if another opportunity to land a superstar, and I'm even including Ja Morant in this discussion, even though he's having a bad season.
You'd be okay with Morant as consolation.
Yes,
But why?
do
Hold on,
something.
Mike, why?
Give me hope. Because this is a franchise, as I outlined previously, that has always been built around a superstar. Okay. And that is the only way this franchise gets anywhere, really, is putting it on one superstar's back and building around him. We don't have that superstar right now. We haven't had one for a while, ever since Jimmy broke down. We need to get back to relevance. This is a global brand that is always centered around a superstar. The Miami Heat can't just get back into the Eastern Conference today. They can get back into the basketball conversation. This is the most irrelevant this franchise has been in a long time, and they made 2 finals in this decade.
Mike, what if I told you that the instant gratification of Ja Morant would cost you the summertime of getting Giannis?
I don't think it does because there's just more assets that build up. That's why the argument for Giannis staying in Minnesota, and I can't believe he's let it get to this point. Giannis needs to put out a statement like yesterday to force his hand, to force Milwaukee's hand, because it's ridiculous. But they're just sitting pretty thinking that they'll get better offers in June.
No, but you don't know what Giannis is telling Milwaukee behind the scenes. Like, Giannis clearly does not want to come out and be the bad guy and say things in public. Like, you don't know what he's saying behind the scenes.
Yeah, but that's different than public pressure.
Yeah, but don't you also get the impression, like, whether or not he gets moved right now or in the summer, like, Milwaukee's going to move on from him because it really is in Milwaukee's best interest.
Right.
To move on from
what
him.
What are they going to do? They're going to tell a 31-year-old superstar you can't play for the rest of the season because
that's why they need to do it now.
They have an opportunity at a lottery pick right now.
That's why they need to do it now. Like, you can't have it both ways where you want to tank the rest of the season because you want your pick to be a high pick in a very loaded draft, but then also not trade Giannis, and he's going to want to play, but then you're going to tell him, we don't want you to play. Well, then trade him.
This is wrong what you guys are doing to me on the screen. This is unfair.
What's wrong about it?
Unjust. It's disinformation.
You like Aronofsky.
In the information age.
I will say, like, the conversation has constantly been, okay, there are all these teams that'll have more picks that are unlocked to be able to offer, or there will be more teams with space that they can offer in the offseason. But if Giannis is on the final year of a deal and can also have more influence over the Bucks of where he goes, what's saying you are going to land a better offer this offseason from anybody? Because what leverage do you really have? Right now, you can add Giannis to a franchise that at the very least gets him through the rest of this season and next year, or one that can extend him soon as opposed to having to worry about doing it next year.
When Mike Ryan spells Ja, and I hear it as Ya, and he's feeling both things, right? He's feeling Ya with Pat Riley, Ya with the Heat in Spanish, Ya, the Latin temper of Ya, just get me Ja. And when I see Ja in the discount bin, so much so that they're talking about Sacramento being like, I can't believe Anthony Davis, one of the top 75 players ever, ends up getting traded the way that he does yesterday. And so Dallas really botches that and gets next to nothing for Luka, the kind of superstar that Mike is demanding having, the kind of superstar that only got to a finals the way that Jimmy Butler did twice in Miami, only got there once with Luka. AD gets traded yesterday to another way station like Sacramento, Wizards. The Wizards in Sacramento only exist to be a place that just gathers names because you've got to meet a low maximum ceiling in the NBA of people you're paying, even if you're intent on being terrible.
I think the Wizards could be frisky. Maybe not this year, but they have young pieces. Like that's a playoff team, and it feels like they've been rebuilding.
What?
No. Next season. Not this
No.
season. You don't think so?
Mike,
No.
Mike,
You don't
look,
think so? With their
Mike,
young pieces and
Mike.
adding Anthony Davis, I know.
No, he's
I
got
know
to play,
these guys
Mike.
need to play.
He's got to play. He's got to play.
But if
Look,
Anthony Davis and Trae Young are on the court around that young core, like they're in the playoff
all right,
conversation, no doubt.
There's no this. I
What?
say
Atlanta was in the playoffs.
lots
last
of
year.
doubt,
Lots of doubt.
Mike. Lots of doubt. There are a couple of teams. Sacramento, as an example, okay. If people want to say that Sacramento's got anything whatsoever, I think Sacramento's got 3 road wins this year, and Washington is truly terrible. And you can sing about their young players if you want, but Anthony Davis in this condition is a piece that has so little value that it moves for next to nothing and ends up on the Wizards roster because they couldn't get much of anything. Mike, what are you shaking your head about?
I don't think it wasn't nothing. Like there were some decent pieces in there. Yeah, there was some bad contracts to make the salary match up. But okay, we'll revisit next year when they're battling with the Miami Heat for the play-in if the Miami Heat strike out again. They got good young pieces.
I love this take from Mike. I think it's actually really sharp because, and I know he doesn't watch basketball like that, and he's starting to come around now that it's closer to the playoffs. But
I know Keyshawn George pretty well.
On top of that, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, players with question marks, but obviously have upside. But what Will Dawkins is doing, he just spent 15 years over in Oklahoma City, bringing a lot of what they're doing over to Washington. Like the foundation is set for Washington to be a good franchise with a lot of little moves that they've made. So I really actually like this take.
The reason that I don't like the take is because I've been watching Washington the entirety of my life, and it's always been a nowhere franchise, and it takes a lot, even if you get the guy who was next to the guy, to make it not a nowhere franchise, and it especially hard when Anthony Davis is what you're counting on in any circumstances to give you playing time.
In the last calendar year, Anthony Davis has played 29 games.
Cool. We'll table this discussion.
It's actually not cool.
But a year from now, I'm going to go off on you guys.
Okay. That's fine.
We'll set it on the Google Calendar.
Yeah, put it on the record. Put it on the record. And also
I will get my vengeance.
Also put it on the record that at 3 p.m. today, the Heat will trade for George Hill, and I will leave here mad at you guys because you put me in another situation where you start hyperventilating about all the things that are going to happen at the trade
I
deadline.
think you're going to get it done.
No, this is a huge day in franchise history.
Yep, it is.
If nothing happens, then even more credence to no, this is actually part of his legacy because towards the end, he wasn't able to recapture that magic. Now, I'm not going to poo-poo Ja Morant. If they do something aggressive and get Giannis, that's the pie in the sky scenario, right? But I don't think it's a bad consolation prize to get Ja Morant. I really don't. I'm a huge Ja Morant fan. I still believe in him. I know he hasn't been good. I know it's a weird culture fit. But I think if not here, where? I believe in that guy's talent.
Well,
I think his ceiling is really high for this franchise.
It's a great consolation prize because we're expecting they would be able to get him for like nothing, right? Like that's why it's a good consolation prize, right?
You can't spend on him. Like you can't send good players over to get Ja Morant.
What you would be sending, like to get Ja, if that deal happens, is Terry Rozier and Simone Fontecchio. The question becomes, is there any sort of draft compensation? Like, would the Heat have to attach a pick or maybe a couple of second-round picks? Like, that really, I imagine, is the sticking point right now.
I'll give you Doliak.
I was so mad the other day because they wasted the Fontecchio game. He had like 7 threes or something in a game, and they lost the game anyway because they just threw it away. Zaz just said something here. I think it happens. And I'm beginning to feel like Zaz's words don't mean anything because, Mike, the other day he texted us, Minnesota made a tiny trade, and he said it's over, Minnesota's getting
I'm very reactive.
No, but this is the thing. And you're also very hopeful, and you got as much Homer in you as anyone who's ever been around here. Like you are a fan at your core. You get emotional. You swing wildly on these things. Yeah. And so at 3:01, you have to understand, the reason we're doing this trade deadline show is only so you can see our reaction either way. At 3 o'clock, are they crushed because another season got away? Because this is the thing that's happening, right? I find this part fascinating. Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Giannis, pieces that have body issues in a league that has more body issues than it's ever had. You're counting on injured things. We just talked about Damian Lillard swung and missed. Everybody got mad. Now you're happy they swung and missed. Bradley Beal, some people wanted him, some didn't. But injuries all over this league are a problem. You can't count on Anthony Davis. And I wouldn't blame anybody if they said you can't count on Giannis either, because the way the sport is happening, it's testing tendons and tissues in the way that's not normal, the way that they're just spreading the court and making these guys go out for miles. And the way he specifically plays is really physical. So I know it feels like you're immediately saying, if I add Giannis to Bam, I can win the East. Mm-hmm. But it ignores a couple of things. One thing it ignores is Detroit's really good. Not a little bit good. They're really good. They did the hardship thing last year. They barely lost to the Knicks. They will not lose to the Knicks again. Detroit is really good. The other thing that's happening, and this is where Heat fans deserve to be most frustrated. The other thing that happened is the Celtics are really good, and they're really good without Tatum. They just went into Houston and dragged Houston because the Celtics are playing unbelievably well. And at the trade deadline, before making the seismic move, they did all the money stuff you need to do to fix the salary cap stuff. It hurt. They didn't want to get rid of Anthony Simons, excuse me. They didn't.
They got a good player in return.
They did.
They got a good offensive
traded one Heat
player
killer for another.
They got a good offensive player. They got a bad defensive player, but they improved. The Celtics have gotten better.
Yes, everybody's gotten better on their watch. And
yep.
Yeah, I know the Lillard thing. Maybe I have a take on the Lillard thing. Like, there was a lot of stuff going on in Damian Lillard's personal life, and he went to a city he didn't really want to go to, and he showed up out of shape because of everything that was going on. I do think it might have worked out different down here, but let's play the result out there. The fact remains that whether they've gotten lucky by swinging and missing, or they've really missed out and other teams have improved. And we're not just talking about the big superstar trades. We're talking about keeping our powder dry and not chasing Pascal Siakam, who would make a difference, OG Anunoby, who would make a difference, because we kept doing what we always done under Pat Riley, which is let's go whale hunting. The time is now. Giannis is not a player that's going to be good at 36, 37, and he needs to realize that too. As he's looking down a summer vacation in Greece, you're 31 years old without a jumper, and what you bring to the table is unbelievable physical gifts. You need to capitalize on that window right now.
When he talks about the right now of this, okay, because super interesting to me what's going on at Golden State, because they need to get Steph the piece right now, even though I think it's fairly obvious to everybody. Everyone in the league is miles behind OKC. Even if OKC struggles, San Antonio may feel differently, but everyone else in the league feels miles behind OKC, Detroit included. And so you find yourself in a position where you're hopeful because all you've got to do is get past the East. But the last two times Jimmy Butler took them back past the East, they run into the buzzsaw in the finals, and Mike is still yelling and screaming because 2 finals appearances in 5 years isn't enough. Even if you're max out on overachievement on Jimmy Butler can get you to Jokic and he can get you to LeBron, but he's not as good as Jokic and he's not as good as LeBron, or he's not as good as Anthony Davis and LeBron, though they were close to being as good.
Jimmy was probably better than LeBron in those finals. Like the first one, Bam got hurt, missed a couple games in that series. Goran got hurt. Like that wasn't Miami's best shot, and they still took him to 6.
The thing, though, that I find myself wondering about as you guys watch all of this play out is it presumes an awful lot to presume that Giannis will be healthy and give you the hope that you can then get past Detroit. But the best hope that the Miami Heat have is that Pat Riley, I'm not killing him, but toward the end of his life and the end of his career, what has to be the close to the end of a man who still doesn't talk to Michael Jordan and Larry Bird when he's in a room with them because of what the scars of competing did to him. He doesn't want to leave the game, but he's got a very small window. And when you talk about Giannis and the injuries, Giannis, too, can't give away another half season. Like, he doesn't want to sit there healthy for the rest of this season playing with Kyle Kuzma and Miles Turner and a bunch of Milwaukee players who are miles away from Drew Holiday and what Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez did for him.
Get off your ass and send a tweet right now. Like, the window is shrinking on this guy. Why is there no urgency?
Because he doesn't want to make the public mess, Mike.
What? You don't want the public mess more than another title? What are we doing? You're 31.
No, I'm telling you that he does not want this. This he's made clear. Has he not made this clear? He does not want another title more than he wants a good relationship with Milwaukee. He's made it clear. How much more clear do you want him to make it? He's made
less clear. Less clear.
He's made it obvious that he'd prefer to try and keep the relationship with Milwaukee than do what he has to do to try and get out so he can get closer to a championship the second half of this season.
Do you know who gets what he wants? James Harden. James Harden gets what he wants. He's had 7 trades in his life. Why? Because he says, hey, I want to move. Hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to do that. And he gets whatever he wants.
Yeah, but you guys killed him the last couple of days, and everybody killed him.
Because he's not my guy.
Yeah, and he's done it 7 times. Like, we give you 1 or 2.
Got 1. Kevin Durant also gets his way, right? And he does it differently.
Yeah, but he's ruined the way the optics of his career should look because he's gotten what he quote-unquote wants. This is the thing. This is, I mean, man, my brother talked about this a lot. The genie's curse. May you get everything in life you wish for. Kevin Durant has gotten the things that he wants, but he doesn't act like it because it hasn't felt like he's getting the things that he wants because it's never met with applause. Like, whatever Kevin Durant's been doing I thought Whitty had a great take like 4 teams ago when he's like, the choices Kevin Durant has made are the worst possible ones he could have made for whatever the optics of his career would have been if we run it back and allow him to make all the choices again. he would have been regarded forever with applause in a way he's not. You cannot tell me, Mike, that it does not sting human beings, no matter how immortal you think they are, and especially the ones that are online as much as these guys are, that it doesn't sting these human beings who kind of got into the life with the idea of, well, I'm going to be in stadiums and everyone's going to cheer me, and the only people are booing are because they hate me because I'm too good, right? To do things that they think are going to merit applause, and then they're villains or they're bad, and then Kevin Durant's getting mad at the media for misrepresenting him, or what? They're human beings inside of this. The reason Shaq's mad at me and wants to kill me is because I simply said, he's awfully sensitive under the circumstances, given that he's Shaq. That's why he's mad at me. He doesn't have another reason. He's reacted to me saying he's too sensitive by being too sensitive and holding a grudge for years where he wants to kill me. And he's Shaq. And she's Shaq. You think Kevin Durant and Giannis and James Harden might not be a little weaker? Like wherever it is, the confidence resides here, where you expect all the applause.
Actually, no. I don't think they're weaker. I think Kevin Durant is actually pretty strong mentally. Yeah, there are things that leak out on social media, but I never question his care for the game.
No, but I just mean weaker when it comes to applause, the need for validation. Like, we all need it.
Yeah.
And I think people think superstars don't need it. And what I'm telling you is they're the most popular guys in high school, but they need it too. And when you take it away, something as simple as popularity, and make them slightly unpopular. How did LeBron deal with that at the beginning when he didn't think that's how that was going to go for him here? He got used to it over time. Durant has gotten used to it over time. Giannis has never experienced any of that.
And there are times that it works out. Like the end of Rasheed Wallace's tenure in Portland was bad. He ends up getting moved to Atlanta and then moved to Detroit, and now he's remembered forevermore as a Piston champion.
Rasheed Wallace is the example you're giving me on caring about what people think?
I'm saying about like the superstars that make it ugly near the deadline. Like Goran Dragic got hurt in an NBA Finals. Even he made it ugly to get to Miami, and it's a footnote on his career. In fact, we're probably the only ones that even remember it. There are times at these big bets for just a little minor headache where everyone's mad at you for maybe a week or so, like it pays off.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is also in a good spot with the Milwaukee fan base. Like, I think at this point, if he said, like, I'd rather do this now than the summer, please send me to Minnesota or Miami, their fan base, like, you can see the reaction online. They're not mad about this at this point. They understand there's nothing built around him. They're ready to reset. He's been nothing but wonderful to the city.
And if this is a legacy play, when's the next time Giannis is going to be in Milwaukee once he's retired? Like, he's never going to go back. They're going to put a statue outside for 2 seconds. Okay, great. I'll see you guys later. He doesn't even live there now.
You guys don't, like, I know you're saying that Giannis should make more of a mess to really force Milwaukee's hand. You don't see Golden State bowing out last night as more evidence that this thing is going to happen. It's going to happen, and Golden State has essentially been told, we're not taking your offer. You can move on here. Like, Milwaukee's going to do this today.
Can't you interpret it as if it's not going to happen this deadline?
But then why aren't the other teams also bowing out, like Miami, like Minnesota? Like, for me, that last night meant that Golden State was told.
You're saying that is Kuminga being traded?
Yes. Very similar to New York, how, remember, James Dolan a few days ago came out. It's like, I like our team. We're a championship team. We're not going to make any moves. No, New York was told, yeah, we're not taking your offer. And last night, Golden State was also told, we're not taking your offer. And that's why Kuminga was sent to Atlanta for a Porzingis with, I mean, Porzingis.
Can we have a conversation about Porzingis?
Played 7 games this year. My God,
what's up
Golden
with him?
State. I mean, you sit Kuminga for the entire season, and for what? That's what you get? You get Porzingis and his mystery illness? I hope he's okay, but still.
Are you pronouncing that differently? And that sounded totally insincere. I hope he's okay. Can you please? I say it Porzingis. I don't say it Porzingis.
I say it the right way.
Okay,
what do you know?
I actually believe that he's saying it correctly, and I'm saying it wrong. I put it on the poll, please, Juju. Porzingis or Porzingis? Tony, when we say mystery illness and we skip past it, can you please just look, read for me? Just please go look up for me the details of the mystery illness when Zaslow says quite insincerely, I care so much about him being well, but he doesn't actually care. Because I remember when this last made an appearance for me was Luol Deng had some trouble he was leaking spinal fluid. It seemed really horrible, and he was still trying to play, and people were like, I hope he's okay. And I think they weren't really sort of examining what might be happening there. I don't actually know.
It's clear you don't actually know what the internet says about it. You do not want to send Tony on an internet wild goose
want me to
chase
say
about
what-
No, don't do it.
I know
I'll
what
say
the
it.
internet's
Yeah,
been
there's
saying.
there's internet theories about it, and we'll leave it at that. You're very clearly not clued
I
into
don't
that.
know. I do not know what any of the internet theories are. I just am saying whenever it is I hear the phrase mystery illness spoken by someone who doesn't have a mystery illness, they're generally underestimating whatever it is happening over where the mystery illness is. And so while you can rip Porzingis, the Golden State Warriors did send Kuminga to Atlanta. And it does appear that our trade deadline show is just going to be, well, is it going to be Miami for Giannis? Or is it just going to be fart noise? Giannis stays in Milwaukee for the second half of the season where they have 18 wins, and he's not going to play a relevant game the rest of this season. Not one relevant game will Giannis play for him, his career, his legacy the rest of the season. He will be running around with no discernible purpose for the next half of a season because they've got no chance to do anything other than lose. So he'd be legitimately wasting his time.
If Milwaukee hasn't made a decision, why would Golden State just bow out last night? They bowed out. There's a reason why they bowed out.
Yeah, there has to be. I just
Well, but wait a minute.
I'm assuming what it is.
He says, why did they bow out last night? Because they traded Kuminga, and he's not allowing for the idea that Milwaukee's like, we don't want Kuminga. Like, whatever your offer is, it's not with Kuminga. We don't want Kuminga.
But that ties to what he's saying. Like, if they don't want Kuminga,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
no
Well,
deal.
but they still have the draft picks, and there are three-way trades that you can make. All these teams are looking for another partner. Anyone who's really interested in making a move today is looking for other partners.
Then everyone said they don't want Kuminga.
No, but exactly.
Well, Dunleavy told you that. Dunleavy told you nobody wants Kuminga.
Yeah, you ended up being right. But you're exactly right what you're saying. So if that's the case, because, yes, there are other moves to be made. I'm going to bring in this team. I'm going to get this pick, this extra pick. Why would Golden State, knowing that, what you're saying is right, why would Golden State bow out?
Again, you're making it bowed out when I don't know who wants Draymond. I don't know what Draymond brings you back. I don't know what Milwaukee has told Golden State that they want. I don't know. I know Golden State, it's seen as Kuminga is the best offer, but I would also assume that we never actually know what all the facts are because we're very often surprised by what happens with these 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 team trades.
Golden State just didn't have the trump card that anybody wanted, which was a blue chip prospect. Kuminga's not seen as that across the league. So when you have, hey, we've got Kuminga and we've got Buddy Hield and we've got Draymond Green, who's 37 years old. What do you think, Milwaukee? And they're like, no, you can give us 8,000 picks. It doesn't matter because what we want, you do not have.
Buddy Hield is owed $10 million each of the next 2 years. By moving him and Kuminga and bringing back Porzingis, who's expiring as a contract, it gives them a little more flexibility in the offseason with then Draymond as an expiring contract next year, I believe. So what that does is it says, okay, we're not going to get Giannis now. Milwaukee has told us we cannot get Giannis right now. We would rather have either Miami's offer, which they're going to try to increase, or see what Minnesota can do. But you're not going to be able to do this, Golden State. Maybe if we get to the offseason, we can revisit it, which is why you get a player in Porzingis who has no further money going
That's what
forward
I'm saying.
instead of maybe like Anthony Davis, right? That's why you go for Porzingis in particular.
Roy, they did it to me again. We have run out of time. It's been all trade deadline. I cannot talk about the two-time defending champions winning last night in a win that Mike Ryan is claiming is a loss.
It is.
You're wrong.
No, you got to win that in regulation.
You got 2 points is the most
But you
important
gave
thing.
up a point to Boston.
All right, still
You're
30
chasing Boston.
games left. 2 points is what they needed. They got 2 points.
They netted 1.
Boston's not the only team they're chasing.
Yeah, they're chasing Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you get 2 points.
They're chasing everybody.
All right.
They're
Get
chasing
2
everybody.
points.
We don't have time to talk about it. The two-time defending champions, because I'm playing whack-a-mole with these guys, and the Heat in about, 6 hours are going to trade for George Hill.
I think it's pronounced guacamole.
Greetings to all. Welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2, nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
We're going to get to David Sampson in 5 minutes here to talk about an assortment of things throughout sports worth talking about and outside of sports. But before we do that, I want to play for all of you a clip with Brandon Marshall. I don't know if any of you guys know this. He was on South Beach Sessions today. It released today. And he came in hot, and he disarmed me off the top. There are all sorts of things that people do with interview techniques in order to soften someone off the top. And he alphaed me quick because right off of the top, this is the back and forth. I'm introducing him, and this is where Brandon Marshall and I start. And I'd like to ask David Sampson and the rest of you how it is that you would react to this situation if you, like me, think that Brandon Marshall is right on the line of being a borderline Hall of Famer.
Do you really mean what you just said, prolific? Because are you just trying to,
How are
have
you
a
not?
great
You
intro?
know, you had 21 catches in a single game, 6 seasons of 100 catches with no quarterback help. Like, your quarterbacks were pretty bad.
Well, I know my stats, but one of the things you just said is one of the most prolific wide receivers ever. And so now you're putting me in the same conversation as the best pass catchers that ever, you know what I'm saying, coming into the NFL.
I don't know how many.
I'm not in the Hall of Fame right now.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get into the Hall of Fame as a wide receiver.
Do you see me as a Hall of Fame receiver?
I wish you had had better quarterbacks.
Do you see me as a Hall of Fame wide receiver?
You're right there.
See, that means no.
You're on the edge.
That's
That doesn't mean no. I say no if the. Do you see yourself as one?
Or do you have a vote?
I
or
don't.
Did you ever have a vote?
I don't. No.
You should have a vote. But if you had a vote, like, what would you vote?
Well, I'm in front of you right now. I can't
He
say
said
I can't,
no. It's
I
okay.
can't.
You just said
No.
I'm a big
But
boy.
no. Wait a minute, though. I'm not saying no because I don't have the numbers in front of me. 6 100 catch seasons is usually good enough to get into the Hall
Which
of
is
Fame.
number 1 in the NFL. You knew that?
I did not know that
That's
that was number one.
That's
Well,
right.
see, there you go.
That's right.
And you didn't have a quarterback. You didn't have a legitimate quarterback. You really turned the. No one has ever turned this around on me faster. We just started, and you already got me in a corner.
Yeah, I got you in a little pickle. I turned my phone off. I was going to let you read something that one of the Cliff, who was our, and I don't really care at all. Really, I don't. But hearing you say that made me think, does he really mean this? Right? But I was going to turn my phone on and let you read through what Cliff, Chicago Bears, when I was there, he did all the contracts, right? He was in charge of the salary cap, and he sent me this memo of why I should be in, and it was like, wow, this is pretty cool, right? And when you're retired, you see things a little differently. You're more grateful. You slow down a little bit. So it's always cool hearing other people's perspective.
I want to be clear, though. I don't have the numbers in front of me to compare you to why it is that Andre Reed or Torrey Holt, I don't have them in front of me. That's the only reason I'm being hesitant. I'm not being evasive, nor am I being dishonest with you. I didn't know, for example, that you were the only receiver with 6 100-catch seasons.
Well, there's two. There's myself and Antonio Brown. I believe it's so I'm tied with maybe him and maybe one other, and it's 6 in a row is the record. It's not just 6 because you also have Mike Evans. He's done it. It was he had 10,000-yard seasons, but 100-catch seasons in a row.
But you say you really don't care? That seems like not easy to believe that you don't care.
And I can understand why, because of how I started. But basically, you said prolific, one of the most prolific wide receivers. You know this. I'm a podcast host as well. You want the best intro, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to see if you really believe that. That's it.
Samson was smiling throughout all of that. What is your guys' take on all of that? Because my entire takeaway, given how you guys have scarred me over the last couple of days with that AI making me a lot fatter than I actually am, I'm watching this and I am seeing that Brandon Marshall is a good deal bigger than me. He made me look the way that Billy looked next to Derrick Henry, like the size of Brandon Marshall next to me when I'm not in any way small. He looks giant.
Wow.
Compared to me, because I'm 6'3" and a half.
That's perspective too.
I'm 6'3" and a half, and
You're right there.
What are your thoughts on what just happened?
You're right there. Was my favorite line of the entire thing.
All right, you guys
you
understand?
don't want to answer
well,
somebody.
because I don't have the numbers in front of me.
You're right there.
Why can't you just be honest that you don't believe he is?
Well, but because I'm not informed the way you
Dan.
would need to cast that vote.
Which is why you're right there is a great answer.
And he already said he was one of the most prolific wide receivers. He can't also say, hey, yeah, you're not a Hall of Famer.
You're right there is something you say when you don't believe you're in the Hall of Fame, because otherwise you would say yes.
I don't know.
Do we have the Reggie Miller one?
All right. Boog Shambi did something cruel to me at the Versace party. We were in front of Reggie Miller, and maybe you guys are right. Maybe subconsciously, I do not realize that I am scarred from this.
Are you a Hall of Famer? No, there's too many other guys that are more deserving than I.
Le Batard, do you think he's going in?
No.
I think you are.
Yeah, you're going in.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
Boog squeezed my knee when he asked it because he knew I didn't think that Reggie belonged. But that's an easier Hall of Fame to get into, and receiver is the hardest way to get into the Football Hall of Fame.
It's such a great setup, too, when you're immediately ready to fire back. I think you are.
That's why
That's
why he squeezed my knee, because that was his opinion compared to mine. Samson, what are your thoughts here? And welcome. Nothing Personal is the name of his podcast. I urge you to check it out. He is covering a lot of good stuff that no one else dares to talk about. What are your thoughts here? What do you do in that situation?
I feel so safe because he's wearing a Trust God sweatshirt. So I could pretty much say anything. He's not going to get physical, even with someone my size. You cannot punch someone with a Trust God sweatshirt. So I feel like you could have gone way further.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you trust someone with a Trust God sweatshirt?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, a person who's wearing a Trust God sweatshirt punch you
Yes.
at Le Batard Show? You didn't really answer the question, though. Okay, so you don't fear it, and what? You would have. I don't know whether or not Brandon Marshall has the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame. He never. The problem with Brandon Marshall, of course, is that he didn't play in any playoff games. Like, did he play in one? Is there a single playoff game that he
Brandon
ever?
Marshall?
Yeah, did he
No.
play in one?
No, I don't think he played in one.
So this is the thing that I think of when I think of Brandon Marshall, and it's not something that I brought up to him. But in terms of numbers, he's got the kind of numbers that you would need to be in the Hall of Fame, from what I remember. But I have
Yeah,
not.
but I don't know,
inspected them.
Dan. I don't know, Dan. He went off so fast. He was the only guy with 6 100 catch seasons, and then all of a sudden, no, wait a minute, it was Antonio Brown. Yeah, Mike Evans. No, maybe that was 1,000 yards. Wait a minute, it wasn't in a row. So, frankly, I didn't learn anything during that clip. I mean, I'll watch the whole episode.
It's just him and Antonio Brown, and he played for 13 seasons, but he didn't play in any playoff games, and they're always going to hold the non-winning against you, even if you didn't have a quarterback.
Why do you keep saying he didn't have a quarterback?
Because he didn't.
Is Sam Darnold, if they win a ring on Sunday, does everyone who wins a ring, do they get the pass? Hey, you didn't have a quarterback.
Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jay Cutler are the best quarterbacks that Brandon Marshall ever played with. That's ridiculous. To put up
answer
those
my question
seasons.
about the Seahawks. Is it not real? What I don't understand what you said. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jay Cutler, those are quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they may not be the best quarterbacks. They were the best of 32 at that point.
There were certainly quarterbacks that can get the ball in the hands of their receivers. Like they weren't shy about airing it out. Like they've proven that they can get guys numbers when they're the quarterback. It's not a terrible situation. Yeah, it's not a Hall of Fame or champion level quarterback there, but it's also not exactly the truth. They're right there.
It's not a terrible situation that he never played in a playoff game and had as many catches as Antonio Brown. You guys are looking at me and saying that? That's not a terrible situation.
We're talking about two different things.
No, but
I don't think his quarterback situation was as bad.
His quarterback situation is the reason he never played in a playoff game. It's not because he wasn't excellent enough to be a playoff player.
That's correct. Yeah.
No, that's not correct. You can have Peyton Manning and the Broncos won a Super Bowl. It wasn't a good Peyton Manning. They had a great defense. Yeah. Peyton Manning was worse than Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jay Cutler the year the Broncos won their Super Bowl recently. And this year right now, Seattle's defense is a Super Bowl winning defense. Jay Cutler, can you imagine? Sam Darnold? I just think that what about all the Dolphins for the past 25 years? Not one playoff win, therefore you can't have a Hall of Famer because they must not have had a good enough team.
Yeah,
Give me a break.
Jay Cutler did make an NFC Championship game without
Brandon
Marshall,
So you guys would have done what in that situation?
Told the truth.
I wouldn't have started with prolific.
You just say he's a Hall of Famer. Like, play the game. What do you mean? You just say, yes, sure, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but look at how David smiles and says, yeah, just lie. Just lie to his face. But you didn't offer that as advice when I keep asking you, what do? You didn't say, just lie to his face. Just say whatever it is he wants to hear and keep it moving.
That's what being a host is. That's if you're trying to get him to open up and you're trying to get down deep into his emotions so there can be the tear shot with only one camera, then you got to start by at least saying, yeah, of course you're a Hall of Famer. Let's talk about your parents.
But then on the next episode, do you then admit to your audience what you did and you just did it to be a good host and you don't actually believe he's a Hall of Famer?
I'm sorry, audio audience, but they are again distorting the size of things and
You're
people.
like 5 feet tall
and
there.
Now,
Visual show
and
day,
now
man.
Brandon Marshall is legitimately twice the size of me, which is hard
More than
because
twice.
did you see the size of me yesterday? The size of me yesterday. The size. It's is asinine what it is that they're doing around here, and it's the perpetual whack-a-mole. Imagine how big Brandon Marshall has to be bigger than I am there. A number of things inside and outside of business to talk to David Sampson about. I imagine that the president of ESPN, Jimmy Pitaro, is wounded by the fact that Disney has decided to replace Bob Iger with somebody who basically just run the parks. Is it fair to say that ESPN has now become a line item in the Disney portfolio, that they are sort of getting into something different than content when it comes to priorities, given that at one point ESPN was the thing at Disney that made more money for Disney than any other thing?
And at one point, you were not the fat bastard. So, yes, that was ESPN at one point. It's just not that point today. ESPN has been a line item at Disney for a while, and what this line of succession has done, it's basically made Jimmy Pitaro somewhat of a eunuch, where he has to perform as a silo in a way that he's not going to get the $20 million to get another Stephen A. Smith, to the extent that that would even be something they'd want. They're going to have to perform as an entity that helps the overall stock price of Disney, because they, the board, voted to bring in DeMauro. And what his job is, basically, run a company that will get us EPS, will get us earnings per share. And so ESPN will have to be profitable. They will have to find a way. The old days of cable and everything that Skipper did when they were printing money and they were the behemoth of getting every sports right live and just every anchor, everybody wanted to be at ESPN. Those days are over, and that's proven by who Disney named to succeed Bob Iger.
We are doing a trade deadline show live today, live stream from 2 to 4 p.m., although Zaslow has threatened to leave at 3:01 if the Heat do not acquire Giannis. Because I'm always telling you that David Sampson tackles stuff that no one else is tackling in the sports media, Roger Goodell had to sidestep the entire issue during Super Bowl week of one of your owners, Tish of the Giants, is in the Epstein files. What did you make of Goodell's response? What do you do in that situation if you're Goodell or anyone else? The media is not covering this very well. The Epstein files are being talked about everywhere else in media, not in sports. And here's an NFL owner right in the middle of this, in a way that cannot go unnoticed, never mind unpunished if it's true. If any of the allegations are true and any of the denials from him are false. But what do you make of what it is that Roger Goodell should be doing here?
Well, first, Josh Harris must have great PR, because you did not mention his name, and he appears in there, and he had to release a statement, which he did. And, of course, Steve Tisch released a statement where he wanted to make sure we all knew that it was adults who he was referring to, not children, because that is beyond the third rail if you're dealing with underage sex trafficking. But if you're just dealing in your run-of-the-mill, Russian people who get paid by the hour, let's not make ourselves crazy. And so Roger Goodell sits down and does an interview and says, let's just get the facts. Let's not talk about punishment. Let's just see where we are, as though he's Adam Silver talking about just say, we are investigating because we do not want our sports to be associated with the possibility of trafficking of underage girls. And so we've started that immediately and then stopped, not said another word. But he tried to upset the reporter by saying, why are you trying to get ahead of yourself? Why are you talking about punishment? I thought that he got super defensive when he didn't need to be.
The move then is just to say, because you can't give it air, right? If Goodell gives it anything in the way of air, if he says anything, then it becomes yet more attention to something he doesn't actually want attention on. You're saying the public relations advice is simply to say what he said, part of what he said, which is we need to get all the facts. We're investigating. Hard stop.
Yeah, just say you're investigating, and then you start a behind-the-scenes negotiation with Tisch, because where this needs to end is where Tisch is no longer part of the NFL with the Giants. You may not make him sell his shares, but not go to meetings, not be a part of NFL jewel events. And you have to look at the different layers of what you're calling the Epstein files. It's a data dump of all emails and all correspondences. That's not enough. You have to look and see what is in an email or a text, or what is the relationship that is with Epstein, or is in terms of, were you Were you doing things with Epstein you shouldn't have been doing? Were you asking him to do things for you that no one should ask to have done? So it does require multi-layers, and that's why you say, hey, we're going to investigate it.
You guys may not have noticed what David did there because what he did there was accurate. There is a lot of information inside of there that is not incriminating, and I'm going to say something to you that's going to shock everybody in the room. Samson is in the Epstein files.
Dan.
I saw that.
Dan, stop.
You just gave the context beforehand by saying
Well,
you
listen,
just gave the
When
context.
you just say it like that, you get aggregated. Samson's in the Epstein files. No. Let me be clear. I am part of a charity called Challenged Athletes Foundation. I'm on the board. And the invitation to a dinner where I was listed with my family as a sponsor of the dinner, an invitation was attached in an email sent to Maxwell saying, would you like to come to this charity dinner? And my name somehow is searchable because of that. And it's obviously nothing. I don't know Maxwell. I don't know. I'm a charity. I'm on the board of a charity called CAF. And I don't know Epstein, never met. I don't even have 1 degree of separation that I knew of. And so, yes, that's why you have to go deeper. You can't just assume by reading something that, oh, that's true, which is why you say there's an investigation.
Ooh, thank you for the podcast episode title.
The Big Suey. Samson is in the Epstein
Epstein
files.
I mean, he is in the Epstein files, and he offered you the context beforehand that explains some of this.
Right.
When
the context will be totally absent
Yeah.
from the episode title.
Yeah, well,
that's a game
Thank
we
you,
play.
Mike.
You're right there.
Makes me want to listen.
Do you guys realize how long it takes to read 3 million documents? I don't know how they were doing this, and I know many of the mistakes that have been made that have somehow protected some people who probably
it's a cesspool.
shouldn't be
Dan,
protected.
Dan.
I know.
It's a cesspool, not just the files themselves, but for misinformation, because no one's going to go through the files. They're just waiting for Pablo to sift through them and give it to them in bite-sized portions, because there are so many fake emails out there. There's one about World War III starting on Sunday that... This is how misinformation spreads. It's because it's believable enough. Think about what we're talking about, which is just all so surreal that people are inclined to believe something on the internet even more with this.
It is so surreal when you think of the president's name being in there, whatever it is, 38,000 times, even with the redactions. The idea that Trump is now suing Harvard for $1 billion and the New York Times for $15 billion and the IRS, which he now runs so that he can get a settlement. The amount of things that are in the news stream here, David, this is baffling to me and hard to stomach, okay? Some of the QAnon stuff started with the idea of Pizzagate and the idea that the left was running a child sex trafficking ring outside of a pizza shop. To see an assortment of things that could topple any president before this one make an appearance every single week, and that the only thing that he couldn't get past would be a pedophilia scandal, and yet here he is right in the middle of one that he can't get around, and he arrests Don Lemon and does a bunch of different shit to try and keep distracting from the fact that he's front and center in the middle of this, even as the Department of Justice tries to protect him.
I have thought so long about what would happen if Watergate were today. Would President Nixon have resigned? Go back and think about what he was doing and what Watergate was. If your audience, I guess, listen, you didn't even talk about Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes saying the Wizards and Bullets have been irrelevant your whole life, which is obviously wrong, but people listen to you and think you know what you're talking about. So I don't know if people know about Watergate or if we're too old for that, but what is acceptable behavior today, given social media, given how public everything is, given the invasion of privacy, given the expectation of information that people have, not it whether it's right or wrong, what would Nixon have done today? And the answer is he wouldn't have resigned. Nixon would have taken the camera, taken the microphone and said, yeah, whatever, I'm suing the Washington Post. That's what he would have done. So times have changed in a way that is going to cause different results depending on your moral compass.
Mike Ryan and Tony appear to be arguing back there about
breaking News in the NBA.
Huh?
Per Shams Charania, the Minnesota Timberwolves have traded for Ayo Dosunmu.
You're on the bullshit, man.
No, that's
You know
not the
that?
bullshit.
That's jack shit,
No,
dude.
no.
Oh, that
This
actually
is
happened.
intriguing.
knows what I'm talking
jack
about.
shit.
No,
This
that
is
is
intriguing.
intriguing.
That's bullshit.
No,
That
this
is
might
an
be a
actual
move.
move that
I'm
he's
not sure.
reporting
It
on.
is $7.5
He's
million
right.
that's
You are
expiring.
such a
Ayo.
hack,
For the
man.
move.
It's
We gotta
Ayo,
see.
man.
Is there going to be a
Absolute
pick?
hack.
Such a hack.
Why are they
Ayo.
buying other players?
We're talking about Ayo.
This isn't creating room.
Look into the CIA.
It's an expiring deal.
Hey, yo.
Maybe they're positioning themselves even more for the June pursuit of Giannis.
Yeah.
Did I just hear a stray look into the CIA on Watergate?
If you want to be serious about it, if you want to have technicalities about it, this is the CIA side.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show.
Look at Bob Woodward, where he started working before the Post.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is there a Watergate every single day now? Does Pat Riley owe anybody anything, David?
I love you, Mike, but my God, you're just so wrong about your view of Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. You've had a lifetime, Mike, a lifetime of success with your Heat franchise. You could be in the lottery, Jamie Gertz style, for the rest of your adult life, and you've had enough of winning, and it's all because of Pat Riley. And I'm the first to tell you that it's not going to happen again, and it's not his fault. You're not getting Giannis today. You're not sit there all day with Zaz. You're not getting him today. They're not stupid enough in Milwaukee. Milwaukee people are smart. They're going to wait till the offseason, and then they get to maximize their return. Of course he's not getting traded today. So, Mike, give me a break. And Pat Riley, why don't you just say thank you and be on your way?
Well, you just mentioned that they could be in the lottery. They're worse than that. They're
in the middle.
they're in the play-in for
so
like
bad.
5 consecutive years
Why
now.
is it Jamie Gertz style?
She's always in the lottery with the Hawks. She's married to the Hawks owner, so she's the one who goes to the lottery, the actress.
Well, you know what?
Are Milwaukee people smart because you're from Milwaukee?
No, Milwaukee people are just amazing.
But is it because you're from there?
I was born in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Yes.
and by the way, they now have a player they can build around because they were in the lottery. The Dallas Mavericks were in the spot that the Miami Heat should have been in last year in the lottery, and they got Cooper Flagg. The lottery is a path too. My lament here is that we're caught in no man's land. We are not being aggressive enough to get the guys to improve us, and we're just keeping a roster that has proven time and time again, to a memeable degree, they're right there with Atlanta and Chicago every year.
I agree.
Give me the lottery.
No, but say thank you to Pat. I agree. What you're saying is the right analysis. They are in the middle. It's what you learn in baseball. Either lose a hundo or try to win a hundo, but winning 75 to 85 games, which was like my
What is
specialty,
this? Say
is
thank you
the
to
worst
Pat.
place to be.
I have said thank you to Pat. Pat's the greatest executive in the history of this sports market. He can be that and worthy of criticism for the last few seasons. And that's all I'm doing. This show in particular has blown sunshine up Pat Riley's ass more than any other show in the history of the media. All right? And I'm not going to get shit the first time that I decide to take him to task and be like, hey, what's with the whales? You're the one that tells me every offseason in your one presser.
Hear
we're
that,
gonna get the
Tobin?
whales.
Tone.
You've been doing it for 5 years while they've made the finals twice. You are, though, a modern-day James Baldwin who only criticized this country because of how much he cared for it.
That's right. Look, we're talking about culture, something that I'm pretty sure this show helped give voice to, and the Heat marketing folks were like, hey, let's build a campaign out of this. All right? He's the one every offseason that loves the media spotlight and loves jacking people up with, well, we're going to be there. We're going to be in the mix. I am a byproduct of the expectations Pat Riley helped create and nurture. Not just over the last 20 years. I'm talking about very recently.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Has anyone blown more sunshine up Pat Riley's ass than this show?
In the history of the medium.
And put it on the poll as well at Le Batard Show.
Like the visual.
What would you prefer blown up your behind, smoke or sunshine? Because I don't know when you guys go sunshine or when you guys go smoke, but neither of those seem like things that anyone needs to blow up anyone's behind.
They're both relatively insincere.
Yeah, I go.
Is more
I go
positive.
smoke because smoke. I feel like they're telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah, but is it tickling? Like, why
Yeah,
is
like,
it
why am I
smoke? I've
smoke up
never
my
understood
ass?
what is that expression. When is there smoke blown up? Anything like
think it'd
what?
feel good.
Like sunshine, at least I understand.
Sunshine
Okay,
seems
Do
like,
I-
whoa.
Dan, I'm asking you, do I give off like I'm ungrateful for Pat Riley?
no. You have talked for many years, and you have accepted that his standard is the highest standard. It's the one that he taught everyone around here. And when he doesn't meet it or reach it or doesn't come close, and they're not as relevant as you like, you get very frustrated with him. It's not like your standard is any higher than his standard. What Sampson is saying, though, as an executive who knows how hard these things are to do, is for 30 years, Miami has had the third best winning percentage in the entire league. That's really hard to do over 30 years when you've got a situation that your players are always changing. Like, it's the Spurs, it's the Lakers have won a little bit more, and that's it. It's 30 years. The entire time he's been in charge, they've won a great deal more than they've lost. They've got the third best winning percentage in the league. And so Sampson is saying to you, that's hard to do. Respect it. Be grateful for it.
I know, I am. And I am. I'm super grateful for it.
Don't sound it.
I think Pat Riley's probably more frustrated than I am that he hasn't been able to get this done. Expectations and standards are not bad things.
It's looking to me like Miami's last team standing after Minnesota just made this trade. They traded 4 second-round picks to Chicago
So
for
here's
Dosunmu.
Jake Fisher. Jake Fisher is reporting the Wolves and Heat sources say still believe they are in play for landing Giannis Antetokounmpo today. Although, like the Warriors, few believe Milwaukee is actually serious about parting ways with their franchise face. He's being told the Bucks are also engaged with the Grizzlies on Ja Morant as well. What do you make of the changes in reporting, David? Adam Schefter is breaking hockey news now. The agencies and the insiders are aligned. Media is not terribly independent anymore, is compromised in a lot of places. And I saw the story here recently. It's a sports media business story, but I'm imagining that you're curious about it. Bill Simmons just said that YouTube is not the future. Netflix is the future. Bill Simmons has a deal with Netflix. I don't know why you're laughing, but Bill Simmons, from my vantage point, just knowing a little bit about this business, what I think just happened is that Spotify took Bill Simmons' audience and sold it to Netflix and doesn't allow him to be on YouTube anymore. So I think that's the reason he might be saying this, but maybe I've got it wrong. Do I have it wrong?
No, you can still do clips. You just can't do shows. But what's funny is what you said, which is Bill Simmons talking about the fact that YouTube is not the future, but Netflix is, when he is behind the Netflix wall. I would like him to have said that prior. Why? After you're on the team, it's like being traded to the Heat and then wearing a Heat shirt. Yeah, of course, because you're on the Heat. So what his point should have been was the benefits and the costs of going and being on Netflix the way that some of these shows are doing. And it's not dissimilar to the conversation we had about Howard Stern when he went to Sirius. That was a huge thing. And Sirius, which then merged with XM, the view was that we will get our money back because people will follow him. And they were right. Are people going to follow to Netflix, where it's all about new subs? It's not even about retaining old subs, because what you talk about with Wall Street analysts, how many new subs do we have in this quarter? Well, I want to see Simmons. I can't do it on YouTube. Therefore, I'm going to get a Netflix subscription. Do I believe that that will happen? And the answer is no. I think the model that Netflix has is we want more content choices, like we want Kevin Hart and Adam Sandler, and we want podcasts. All of that is part of the opportunity when you are a Netflix subscriber and what you're going to come to expect. But again, Dan, I don't think anyone signed up for Netflix because they wanted to see an Adam Sandler movie or a Kevin Hart movie. I think it's just part of what they get when they're already a subscriber. But I believe that YouTube is what the people view as their atmosphere of content is YouTube. They get the opportunity to see things that are pushed to them that they may not otherwise see, that they may not otherwise have heard of. They get the opportunity to participate in ways that Netflix showing video does not offer an audience.
Okay, I am asking this question because I do care about this subject matter, but I'm not totally as informed as I need to be on this subject matter. From afar, I viewed what happened with Bill Simmons and Netflix as Spotify sold his audience and put it behind a paywall. That wouldn't have been something Bill Simmons wanted necessarily. That's something Spotify wanted, and it's something Netflix wanted, and so you get the audience being sold and put behind a paywall. It's something around here that I've been very reluctant to do, even though there's money to be done there. So I'm asking you, do I have that wrong? Because I don't know if I've got it right. I just think I have it right, but I don't have enough information here. I've got more than most because I know how some of this business works, but I don't know if Spotify just sold Simmons' audience to Netflix.
Well, they had that right, but you're asking a question of what Bill Simmons wanted, and I can't speak to his frame of mind when the Netflix deal was done, only to his frame of mind when the Spotify deal was done, because that's a deal ago. And it's the same thing when Meadowlark Media does a deal with DraftKings. I can know your state of mind, but what DraftKings then does with your show, that really, in theory, we don't have to talk about that specific deal, but you do not necessarily have control over that. Bill Simmons would not have control over how that show is being monetized, so Spotify can get a return on its investment in Simmons and in his other shows. And so when you sell, you are giving up control definitionally. Think about when you sell your little studio, a movie studio, to one of the big giants. You are giving up control in order to take money off the table, in order to diversify your holdings, not have your net worth just in your media company. That's why little companies sell to big companies who spread risk over a bunch of different things. Some work, some don't, and you move on. When you own it, you want the payday, and the strategy is, when do you take it? And Bill Simmons took it. The Netflix deal was not the specific payday for Bill. It was the Spotify deal.
Yeah, our language might be a little harsh here, even though selling the audience, when you get down to brass tacks, is probably what's happening. I look at it more as a cash in, both with Ringer Spotify and now with Netflix. Like, you get to a certain size and you look at a pile of money and you decide, is this worth it? And some people do, and some people decide to eschew that for the time being and look at market inefficiencies elsewhere and decide, no, we're not at the place where we can cash in yet. Let's still grow. Let's still be as inclusive as possible.
An excellent bit of nuance and context there. I am certain that I will not get aggregated with a giant picture that makes me look like fat bastard there. Now that you've offered that nuance, I'm sure everything there will be treated fairly and my crude language will not be misrepresented in any way at all. Samson, what movie are you reviewing for us? That picture's so unfair. Like, you guys need
the size
to,
of the couch.
You guys need to.
It's not right.
It's not,
shameful.
It is body shaming me. Look, man. It's hard running a business, and I've been secret eating ice cream in my bathtub, and it just happens because I'm under a great deal of stress. What is the movie you're reviewing for us today, Samson?
You better not make fun of me because of the age of this, but I watched a movie on Netflix, a documentary called Miracle, The Boys of 80. And you're going to say, no one was alive in 1980. No one remembers that. It's the greatest sports story. If you had to give me a top 5 sports stories of all time, don't give me Rudy. You give me the Miracle on Ice in 1980 with the USA men's hockey team of amateurs and college players with Jim Craig and goalie. What a great documentary, revisiting it. They're walking through the streets of Lake Placid. You have to have been alive, and I was 12, and you're very aware of the Cold War. You're aware of CCCP and what the enemy is, and the fact that you didn't have one chance to beat Russia, and then you do. Spoiler alert, they beat Russia in the semifinals and then went on to win the gold medal. And it was one of the greatest things, and I remembered it so well, and I was young, and I got to relive it. And it's great. If you don't know the story, watch Miracle. There have been movies about it. Kurt Russell played Herb Brooks, who all the players hated, by the way, which I loved. That means he was a great coach. I love the documentary.
Is that your GOAT sports story in the history of sports?
Man.
It is the greatest sports story in the history of sports. That, given the circumstances that were going on, given that people don't understand the Olympics today. Do you know they started already in Milan?
Yeah.
Who knew? Curling. Who knew?
It's on in the office here. I'm going to go Leicester City.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you have to give a spoiler alert if you're talking about the results of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team? And also, I do want to have this GOAT conversation. And you know what else I want to have around the GOAT conversation? What it is you'd put second, since it seems to be consensus that everybody would put first. The greatest upset in the history of American sports is the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team.
UMBC over Virginia, a 16 seed over 1. I remember where I was watching that. I know I wasn't alive in 1980, so I would have remembered that. There wasn't all of the political circumstances, but that was 16 over 1 for the first time after Pablo had predicted it for 15 straight years on Around the Horn.
Truthfully, Indiana winning the national title is up there.
Yeah.
And if Ole Miss
It's to
had
have an
won
undefeated season,
Ole Miss
too.
getting as far as they did is up there in one of the great stories. Their coach didn't even believe in them.
NC State over Houston.
The 2007 Giants over the undefeated Patriots with the catch from Manningham, David Tyree on the helmet.
This GOAT conversation is presented by Frank's Red Hot. Make every dish the greatest. Eat the GOAT.
Look how happy Samson was at the seamless sponsorship transition. Samson always sees money wherever it is that people are making it.
Cody, you're the best.
in. I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. Oh, no. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets! The Jets!
Stugotz, what's the matter, buddy?
I mean, right, just one time. 40 years I've been rooting for this team, and just one time I wanted my team to play in that big game in that beautiful dome in Los Angeles.
Dome? What about the elements? Back in my day, we didn't play in a dome. Let me tell you, back in my day, we considered football to be an honorable game. We didn't have to pass the ball every single play, and that's how we did it back in my day. It's the cold in December and sweltering two-a-days. It's embracing occasional punts, and don't get me started on instant replay. Now we're cooking with gas. Watch out! I'm not done, by the way. Let me tell you, back in my day, there was no showboating. We respected the game. We sat on a stoop and let the radio play, 'cause that's how we did it back in my day.
Today at 2 p.m., we're the ones who are going to bleep around, but Pablo Torre is the one who finds out. We're going to continue our Super Bowl coverage by starting in the obvious place. East Texas and Death Row is where we're about to head.
Death Row Records?
That is not in East Texas. Suge Knight is in California. Actually, I don't know the penal system that Suge Knight is in.
He might be anywhere.
No, that is not who Pablo is visiting on Death Row. We'll get to that in just a second, but I want to keep telling people, 2 p.m. today, we're going to watch as the Bucks trade for Ja Morant and Jonathan Zaslow gets crushed because Ja Morant ends up being the running mate to Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee.
Dan, 3:01 p.m. 3:01, or I'm out of here.
You're going to storm out there. Sometimes they trickle in after the 3 p.m. deadline. We don't know whether it'll be certainty. I don't know what to expect, but we're going to be live 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock talking about the trade deadline. But when I tell you guys that this entire outfit is playing whack-a-mole, that they're making me, and I know the reference is being lost on some of you. You don't know what whack-a-mole is, but it's an old game. You'd go in with a mallet, and there would be moles that would pop up out of, out of the, I don't know, the console.
The most boring game at an arcade.
You'd hit them with a mallet. Yeah, but it's you guys.
Boring.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is whack-a-mole an arcade classic? But to my point, I have in front of me a piece of an index card that has been handed to me by the producers.
I just talked to the young people in the bullpen. I'm like, you young people know what whack-a-mole is, and 3 people said the exact same sentence at the exact same time. Absolutely, I don't know what he is doing.
I understand that I'm an old man chasing people off my lawn.
There's this new word, groceries.
With references that nobody understands, and I don't think whack-a-mole is an arcade classic. But I want to explain to people metaphorically what it is that I'm doing. You guys are the moles. I'm the one with the mallet. And my example is right in front of me. I'm going to have Jonathan Zaslow, or Jonathan Zaklow, as we're going to call him in a few hours, read to you what is on the piece of paper that has been handed to me by producers who give me information to keep me maximum informed. Zaslow, do not read the words, okay, on here that are the only sports words. Just tell people what's on this piece of paper that I've been handed that is my information center all over the piece of paper. How many words are on this piece of paper? How many words?
It's got to be a couple hundred.
Okay. How many of the words are sports related?
None.
I don't think it's none, Zaslow. Look at that sheet closely. There are words. There are words on that sheet, Zaslow, that are sports related that you're not seeing.
You told me not to read the sports.
I know. Words. How many words are there on the sheet that are sports related?
2.
Thank you, Zaslow.
There we go.
How many words are? Let's try this again, Zaslow.
For the last time.
How many words are on the sheet that I've been handed by the producers?
Is writing on this for
a couple hundred.
How many of the words are sports related?
2.
I'll get Damashek in here.
What is on that piece of paper, Zaslow?
Bullshit words.
Give me the piece of paper back, Zaslow.
Oh, he's done.
What? You know what?
Backwards.
In fact.
What kind of exercise is that?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Minor penalty, came out of your mouth for boring.
Let's call Boo.
Me?
Yes, you. Yes, you. Get out of here. This is the piece of paper I have been handed. It is not that hard to describe.
It isn't.
Hundreds of times, the word meow, meow, a cat, meow, is written on a piece of paper. And it also says, Hero or Kaminga.
That was me. That was mine.
Successful bit. We did all right. Let's talk about death row.
Pablo Torre is with us. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the podcast. He continues to do extraordinary work. And you guys would love this because this was, in the modern age, and it needs to be protected, classic 60 Minutes type of journalistic reporting where the television reporter shows you that he's driving through the middle of Bumblebleep trying to get to an outpost that is super secluded and empty to meet the death row inmate.
We all knew that was going to go poorly back here.
Right away. I was like, oh, God, he's doing the card.
No.
He wants Zaz to say something.
There's a index card that's got the word meow being written on it. Like I'm trying to do something live in front of people.
Like you were right.
It's a bit of a tightrope, right? It's live in front of people. I'm trying to make it entertaining.
It's on him.
And there are people.
It's a great concept.
Why am I being handed a piece of paper that has the word meow written on it hundreds of times?
All right, meow.
Pablo, you have gone out to East Texas and you want to tell the story of Charles Don Flores. And I guess I need to be careful with some of my language here, but is he guilty of what he's accused of?
Hi, guys. No, Charles Flores is a man who I'm happy to talk to you about, right, Meow, because he is, of course, a character that we've introduced on our show before. Sent a correspondent to Death Row to talk to Charles. I went there myself in our attempt, by the way. I don't know what you guys are doing there with the index cards. We are trying to replace 60 Minutes, though, in New York using Dan's money. And yeah, I rented a Jeep. I drove to Death Row. And the point is, this guy was wrongfully convicted in ways that are crazy. And I, on Pablo Torre Finds Out, am of course used to like my own version of whack-a-mole. Billionaire pops up, I try to report on it. Does anything happen? As if I have the control of that. All I can do is tell people what's up. In this, yes, exactly. Replace Ja Morant and Giannis with the faces of the richest people in America. And in this case, the Texas criminal justice system, the state of Texas. Because Charles Don Flores, okay, was convicted and sentenced to death because an eyewitness was hypnotized by the police and identified him a year after she had described two suspects who looked nothing like him. There's never been any physical evidence tying him to the scene. Charles Don Flores has maintained his innocence the entire time. And in fact, the actual killer, this was a robbery and a murder in Texas, the actual gunman, the actual killer pled guilty and is now out of prison. He was released on parole 10 years ago. And Charles Don Flores remains, despite the fact that junk science, which has since been outlawed, by the way, in Texas, was the reason he was put there in the first place. It's an unbelievably absurd story. We're trying to petition for his freedom. Will it work? I don't care. I just want to try. And that's the whack-a-mole that I've been playing.
You have made him your Cowboys correspondent. Can you explain to people the life he's presently living while apparently wrongly convicted? Because I cannot think of a lot of worse ways to live than 23 hours a day in solitary confinement with a crime you haven't committed.
Yeah, it's one of the more remarkable just like interactions I've had. Him explaining that like the one thing he's learned how to control are his emotions. And it's a lesson, Dan, I know that you and I have talked about like what can you control, what can any of us control in this life? It's like how we respond to things, which is like the hardest thing to do. And this guy has spent 26 years learning to do that. And so he doesn't indulge in anger at the fact that the gunman, Richard Childs, is now out and free while he is remaining in prison, despite being wrongfully convicted. What he's doing is he is finding ways to cope with his fate. And his execution date is looming. And he is also using his powers of emotional restraint to care deeply about the Dallas Cowboys. Like, he's the sort of fan that not only is a really great hang in terms of like he's very well versed in how the Cowboys have been doing. He watches the games through little cracks in his solitary confinement cell. There's a TV over there. He's in like the faith-based program. There's a 50-inch TV off in the hallway. You can sort of see it through a crack as he sits on a stack of legal papers. What he is doing is also like prioritizing draft picks. That's the kind of true fan he is. The dude on death row is saying, we need to play for the future. He was glad the Giants beat the Cowboys on January 4th because they got draft picks because of it, better picks because of it. And he has takes. He has takes that are future oriented, even though he's the last person you'd imagine would and should care about the future.
I have a lot of questions, Pablo, but first, for someone who is in their cell for 23 hours a day and has been incarcerated, possibly wrongly incarcerated for 26 years, and he gets to do this with you, has he expressed to you like gratitude, for this new thing that he has in his life now?
By the way, Zaz, he has only an hour of the day to himself, and he spends it with Pablo.
Right.
Like, he spends it with Pablo, at least in part because of that gratitude.
Yeah. He is not only like, I think the gratitude is certainly there. And we've been like, our show, we send him e-messages. You can email, they call it e-messages. There's a whole like payment plan system with people on death row in Texas. And he's been more than grateful. The thing that he expresses, though, is that this is a story that the state of Texas doesn't want you to hear. They don't want to hear it from him. Like, he has appealed numerous times. When I say that, and again, there's a video in this episode, okay, of the police hypnotizing the eyewitness who is the only person to tie him to this crime. It's remarkable to see the video, and it's as if from one of these like too on the nose movies in which someone is practicing you're getting sleepy. Like, that's how they did this shit. And so Charles has appealed. This very practice has been outlawed in Texas. The issue with his case is that it did not retroactively apply. So everybody knows you shouldn't be able to use this in a criminal trial anymore. But because it happened before the law was passed, and the law was passed in part because of his case, he cannot benefit from it. And so that's why we're trying to get the word out. That's why I'm like forcing you guys to hear about this and hang out with me also, is because there's a petition. There's a petition you can sign. I'm going to pull it up. It's on our Twitter account, obviously. It's tagged in the YouTube channel. The petition is actionnetwork.org/petitions/Charles. All we can really do, as you feel helpless playing this version of whack-a-mole, is just register to the state of Texas, and for anybody who cares to see, that we hear his story. It's the only job of journalism on some level, is like communicate stories that people don't otherwise want you to know about. And Charles Don Flores is a guy who we really need people to know about.
So, Pablo, I mean, I understand, obviously, the court system, you're convicted by a jury of your peers, and that's the way it goes. But like you're talking about here, if the only evidence is this person who was hypnotized and said it was him, even though he doesn't match his description, a lot of times in these cases, like, won't the judge say, yeah, I hear the jury, you're convicting him, but there was no evidence here. There was no credible evidence, and the judge will render their decision. Like, why didn't the judge do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking logical questions that I've also asked of how the justice system in the state of Texas works. Something that's interesting about how he was convicted is that the hypnosis happened a year after his arrest, right? It happened a year after, the witness was interviewed. And so she names two tall white guys with long dark hair, and Charles Flores, who you've seen on this screen, who is a heavy-set Hispanic man, has never resembled a tall white guy with long dark hair. And so what happened was the news, right? The local television stations, the press in Texas, they put his face all over the news. And so by the time this woman who gets hypnotized by the police is being asked, do you recall this guy? It happens under circumstances that, again, have been outlawed since by the state. And so the appeals process, Zaz, you're asking good questions. What I can tell you about the most recent step, because there's been a whole roller coaster, which we outlined in the story, which is infuriating and fascinating as a window into all of this. The most recent appeal, there was what's called like a postage stamp dismissal, as in they don't know what the state of Texas has even acknowledged or read. They just were summarily dismissed as an appeal. And so tomorrow, the other episode, reason we're doing this episode, is that tomorrow, Charles's lawyer is appealing to the Supreme Court, and they are not optimistic because the Supreme Court, as you can imagine, is overwhelmed in lots of other ways. But we're beyond Hail Mary time now, as we watch Charles like walk into the booth where, yeah, he's had the only real like human interaction for 26 years. 1 hour at a time, he says he gets a visitor, every couple of months. And this place is crazy, dude. Look at the decorations here, right? There's Star Wars murals. There's Sonic the Hedgehog. There's Cookie Monster. This is where like families go to meet people on death row. Except this guy, Charles, he has no family anymore. His family actually is like what he considers his community of fellow sports fans, Cowboys fans. And he says that sports is a way of expressing that he still belongs to society. And that is, I mean, truly, the Super Bowl is a clinic in that. It's the power of what sports are. It makes a guy like that feel that way.
This story is infuriating. The details are all in Pablo Torre Finds Out. I urge you to check it out. And Pablo, tell the people again, if you would, how it is they can help if they are properly outraged, because this story requires and needs more attention. He, I don't know if you said it or not, he was 5 days away from being executed, all right?
Dude, oh my God. We tell the most affecting scene in this whole thing, as we put on the screen here, the URL, actionnetwork.org/petitions/Charles, is that Charles Flores was 5 days away from execution and was forced to grapple with like what that actually means. And he had never talked about this before with us. We never really wanted to fully break the seal on contemplating what it's like when the state kills you. Okay. And the the experience of him being given this date, it's 5 days away, his mom visits him, and the way he finds out that he's gotten a stay of execution was over this radio that he has in prison on death row in the Polunsky unit where I was. And we found the tape of that. And the idea that this is a movie, I often make that comparison. It feels cinematic. This is beyond that. It is life and death. And so he tasted what it's like to have this glimpse of freedom. It has since then been stripped again from him because his appeal was denied. And now we're trying to make it so that the story is not over yet, even though the state of Texas wants it very much, it seems, to be over.
Jeremy, I have accused you of being a theater kid, and you get mad and you say that that is derisive. When he uses the word cinematic here, he's not wrong in this story being cinematic, but I want to show all you guys, and forgiveness, audio audience, you're not going to see this, but I want to show all you guys how enjoyable Pablo finds the cinema. Look at this. Do you think that Pablo knows that he nailed it when he did this right here, when he did the fist bump?
That's the greatest dap I've ever given through prison glass with Charles Flores. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that, honestly.
As you should.
You know how you hear
incredible.
it? You guys know when you get a good dap and you can hear it echo sometimes?
Yes.
I would say that.
Yeah.
That resounding, like, down a hallway sort of, you can feel it on the Richter scale.
No, when you hear
That's
it.
kind of what that felt like.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is prison glass dap the best of all the daps? Because he's like, Pablo was thrilled. He was, I can see, let's show this again. I can see the smile on the back of Pablo's head as he sees and feels the genuine happiness of Charles Don Flores is about to give me aggressive, meaningful, and grateful prison dap. You can see Pablo. Can you see it, Zaslow, on the back of his head? Meow. Can you see it? Meow.
It's good. It's not as good as the dap in Midnight Express. You know about that Midnight Express dap?
What was that? What was the Midnight Express dap?
Turkish prison? Is it Turkish prison dap?
Yep.
Oh, I see. I've had some bad dap in my life. I'll also be journalistically transparent about that. I once jumped on a couch to dap up Magic Johnson. It looked like Tom Cruise on Oprah's couch. I looked like an insane person. And Cortez caught that on video. And thankfully, I did not queue it up in time for you guys to have it. So you won't be able to play it, but it's bad. That made up for it. That made up for all the bad dap I've had in my life. And Dan, you're a bad dap haver yourself. Why is Dan judging dap? You guys have the video of Dan. Was it Josh Norman?
Oh, yeah, just get that real
wound
quick.
up.
No, just stop. Just shut up.
No. Let him toss the video without any heads up. We do this all the time. What's wrong?
I'm so mad at Pablo and Zaz right meow. So mad.
Midnight Express.
The two of them. He's just doing boob. He's doing boob work on Midnight Express in a Turkish prison, a movie from 30 years ago. Says the guy who referenced Ichabod Crane a couple of days ago. Pablo.
Seemingly out of nowhere, NBA trade the Los Angeles Lakers have traded the expiring contract of Gabe Vincent and a second-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Luke Kennard.
Well, wait a minute. The real breaking news would be that Wendy is saying the T-Wolves are out on Giannis. That leaves Miami as the only team chasing him. Like, that would be breaking news.
When did we get that? Did that just break?
Yes.
Across a wire?
Yeah, well, Wendy just said it. Wendy says they're
Where?
out. You
Where?
guys don't have this?
I'm leaving. Where did he say
You guys don't have this? Why do I have this? And the paper that says meow all over it and Kaminga or Hero on it. Like, why is it? I have information that you guys don't have. Wendy is saying that the Miami, this is the report, okay? He said it on First Take, and what you have is, quote, Minnesota and Golden State think they aren't getting Giannis today. The Miami Heat are still out there, last I heard, trying to make moves to improve their offer to Milwaukee. That said, the Heat can make a better offer in the summer. Teams believe it's most likely that Giannis stays put, but Miami is still there. But I will never put anything past Andy Ellisberg and the aggression of Pat Riley. So keep an eye on with Miami. And that is not dap. That's just me hugging Josh
Bringing
Norman.
him in.
Our Cavs look good.
Oh no.
The pull. It's like the
It was
fall.
so
Dan
the
falls
dap was
back.
so mismanaged that
no.
you ended up grinding on
Whenever
him.
you hug someone and you take 2 steps backwards, that's never good.
Around the neck too is
It
tough.
hurts.
You should be embarrassed.
Yeah, how is he in the crook of your elbow? How did that happen?
The story involving the Clippers that you have been at the center of, did you hear any of the conspiracy theories involving James Harden and the idea that they're blowing up the whole thing because of knowing what's coming down the road because of all your reporting and all your busybody finding out?
I've been very busy bodying. I have heard. Look at this. Just Josh Norman looking incredibly confused behind sunglasses. I have been seeing and hearing all of the rumors. I can tell you that on the scale of here's some stuff that's true to here's some stuff that's not. Stuff that's true. NBA coaches actively. I mean, I've talked to multiple NBA head coaches who find that the Clippers may escape punishment by the NBA to be so egregious that it informed what they believe was the real story of why Kawhi Leonard didn't make the All-Star game, as voted in by the coaches. So when Adam Silver follows up and he appoints him, as the commissioner has the power to do unilaterally, appoints Kawhi to the game, that was also a thing that blew up my phone, and lots of people laughed about how perfect it is that Adam Silver would come and rescue Kawhi Leonard from the accountability exerted by these coaches.
And that's the guy you think is going to punish Kawhi? Like, that's the guy? Come on.
That is a story that we continue to report on.
Well,
so that's over here. That's like stuff that happened. Yes. The stuff that didn't, that feels less obvious to me, I can't tell you why James Harden wanted to pull the parachute cord. It's hard to isolate the variable of like, he sees a punishment coming because, again, that's how I describe the punishment and the current forecast of it. And also because James Harden has just done this over and over again, right? And so the Clippers generally, though, where are the Clippers in this? In the middle of that, I think, truth spectrum is the idea that the Clippers are actively considering and pursuing life after Kawhi Leonard. This whole regime has been disastrous, which is also why it's funny that Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball, just got a 4-year extension, which was announced in December when they were 6-21, by the way, and has since been finalized. It's very funny that that guy stays around for 4 more years to run this disastrous regime as a basketball matter, because they are looking for the post-Kawhi era. That's Darius Garland coming in. And from the post-Kawhi perspective, Stugotz is on the team. Stugotz seems to be also actively being mentioned in trade negotiations. So all of this stuff is like what happens after we undo the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard era. PG's gone, Kawhi's still there. Everybody else, though, Chris Paul, James Harden, Stugotz, it seems. They're looking past it because there's not anything left for them to gain. So that's where I think the State of the Union is.
Last thing on this subject and last thing for our time with you. I cannot believe that Tony and Zaz and a whole lot of other people are looking at all of the reporting that you have done exhaustively on that story, and all of them are saying, yeah, the league's not going to do anything. Nothing's going to happen there. I can't believe that something could be this kind of egregious and nothing's going to happen, especially because I know at least a couple of the owners and a couple of minority owners who are really mad about this. Like they're mad at how flagrant this is. And I just don't believe that they would allow for this to go unpunished. What do you think's going to happen?
I think that the NBA, oh God, that's me dapping up. And there's Tom Thibodeau, by the way, in the right-hand corner. That's the dab on the couch. What I think is going to happen with the NBA is subject to our ongoing investigation. What I will tell you is that the incentive structure of the NBA is so deeply public relations driven, which is to say, a bit of the through line in all the stuff that I report on my show is we try to bring accountability through journalism to very rich and powerful people and or governments. And the question of what they have to do in response is very often subject not to what the truth is. It's to how much people out there care about it and make a stink about it and actually discuss it. And so when, Dan, you say that you've talked to ownership groups, members of ownership groups who express that this is absurd and beyond the pale, even when you consider that there is various cap circumvention in small ways probably happening throughout the league, Yes, I've also heard this from other NBA owners. I've heard it from NBA head coaches. I've heard it from other NBA general managers. Everybody in the league behind the scenes knows what's happening. I will also say that it's very, of course, understandable that these people want to remain anonymous because they know that the league's whole incentive here is to stamp out dissent when it comes to calling out the boss. And the boss here is not Adam Silver. The boss here are the richest people in the sport. And so Steve Ballmer, who is the richest man in sports, who can buy the entirety of the NBA if he wanted to, he has more money than everybody else combined in the ownership group.
That'd be a move.
The question of will they punish? I think you look at these incentives and you say, does the NBA have to? And that's where we are continuing to investigate. Is what's the process and what's the forecast based on the evidence that we're continuing to gather.
I mean, Pablo had a good dap, Dan, but it was better than Jim Carrey's prison dap. Come on, Dan. Jim Carrey, Cable Guy, Midnight Express.
The reporting he's doing is extraordinary. Pablo Torre finds out there is nothing in sports podcasting or podcasting in general quite like it. He goes out to death row. This is the second time that Pablo Torre finds out is advocating on behalf of what appears to be a fairly obvious injustice. I urge you to both check it out and do the petition so that more word gets out because he's tackling obviously complicated subject matter and doing it in the most cliche way possible right off the top, where he's driving through what is clearly bumble bleep nowhere, and the camera's with him, and he's just casually driving through tumbleweed, and he's like, "Look, I'm a reporter, but I go out there and get in the field." And he rented a Jeep too.
So I go out there. I was gonna say, I got two things. Number one, actionnetwork.org/petitions/Charles. Please sign it very sincerely. It's all we can do. That's the first thing. The second thing is thank you, Dan, for helping me pay for this rented Jeep.
Yeah, it was look
cool.
at this. Look how cliche this is. Look, there he is. There are his hands on the steering wheel.
10-2, baby.
Yes, driving perfectly through nowhere to get to nowhere, and death row, the end of the road, the literal end of the road for a man who shouldn't be at the end of the road. Charles Dawn Flores. That life looks awful. Obviously, 23 hours a day in confinement when you're not guilty of something.
I'm surprised, Pablo.
What?
I'm surprised. 10-2. You're a New York City guy, and I don't see you
He
driving
knew he was
a whole
being
ton.
televised. That wasn't natural driving.
I'm usually driving with my knees. I'll be honest.
At what point in the journey did you tell the camera guy, "Hey, get out of the car real
and then I'll
quick
drive
and
by.
get me turning this corner"?
Yeah.
At
How
what
did that
point
go?
did
Did
you
that feel
start
natural?
screaming at the chauffeur, saying,
can I leave, Meow? Can I go?
Yeah, get out of here.
Can I get out of here,
How
Meow?
far did you drive past your cameraman before you stopped and allowed him to walk to you because you were not going to drive back to pick him up?
Stop breaking the fourth wall. For the love of God, you have one job. Make me the new 60 Minutes, and you're really blowing it for me, so thank you.
Pablo Torre Finds Out is the podcast. He really is doing special work, and we thank him for it. It needs to get more attention. You know what else needs to get more attention this Super Bowl week? We're not covering it enough. Denny Hamlin. We are not covering this enough. His life is clearly haunted.
Yeah!
And wait a minute. You're not speaking as my voice anymore.
We love the stories in sports that make you feel something.
You are not speaking. Look,
Did you find out what happened to him?
I don't want to keep arguing with my inner monologue. You're speaking as yourself instead of me. Stop speaking.
It got even sadder.
I know. Listen to this. Because
it's even sadder.
No, it's this house is haunted. This house that Denny Hamlin. We played for you last week, okay? The sound of a broken Denny Hamlin talking about losing his dad in a fire and trying to get back. He's fighting with NASCAR. He's trying to win. He keeps losing, all things in heartbreaking ways, okay? And this latest detail where he's talking, before I give the latest detail, let's just listen to Denny Hamlin, clearly hollowed out, okay? These NASCAR guys are very, very good at selling their sport. They all know that they kind of got to be salesmen. They all, in front of the cameras, do special things because they have gratitude about their their sport and they understand that they need to be out there selling it, okay? So Hamlin's doing this interview, but he doesn't really want to do this interview, and the heartbreak is all over him as he talks about it, his face and his answers, because he's not in sales mode here. He's talking about, I got to come back and I got to talk about the really awful shit. So here, he's already haunted here. Listen to this.
How are you doing?
Okay, as to be expected.
Should look like your mom is doing okay.
Yeah, she has good days, bad days, but getting better.
Did you consider not racing after everything that happened?
I mean, I've considered all options. I made a promise to Joe, to Gibbs family.
Do you think it's going to be difficult to race?
I don't think so. I think that, once I get in the swing of it, it'll actually be good, to get back to it. I haven't locked in for the season necessarily quite yet.
And is there anything you want to say to so many people have reached out and said things on social media? I'm curious if there is. Is there anything you want to tell people? Or
Well, I try to answer back some. It's impossible to answer back all, but yeah, it's just certainly the NASCAR family's always been a very tight group, and appreciate the condolences and the well wishes and everything from everyone. It certainly does mean a lot.
Have you had much time to kind of work with the team at all, or have they pretty much given you kind of time to be?
I mean, today will be my first day back at the shop since November, probably.
Rest of me, I think, be old hat. I mean, it'd be pretty much like you're gonna be ready
I think
for.
So. I think so. I mean, those guys have been working and preparing and whatnot. I'll be obviously a little bit behind, but I feel like I can catch up pretty quickly.
So he's grieving, obviously, because he's lost his father and is taking care of a mother that's not only grieving, but that house fire also injured her. And then, as he comes back, he's in the rubble of the house, falls down and hurts his shoulder.
Yeah, a surgically repaired shoulder. That interview from a couple of days ago was with Bob Pockras. Denny Hamlin spoke to assembled media yesterday. It was the formal kickoff to NASCAR's season, the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. So the media had an opportunity to speak with Denny Hamlin, and he revealed he retore his surgically repaired shoulder falling in the rubble of his parents' home, the home that caught fire and took his already terminally ill father away and seriously injured his mother.
It's the worst hour. Just doing things that are making me upset, story after story, making me upset. I mean, can somebody say something nice? Terrible. I feel terrible.
Yeah, sorry. That's there's no good side to this story just yet.
How about a picture of me looking enormous?
That's always funny.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes me feel good.
That softens it up. Okay, I'll take it back to the darkness again, because this story reminds me of Vince Wilfork, because I remember when Vince Wilfork was in college. He lost his parents, lost both of them, bang, bang, at a formative age, right? Wanted to quit football at the time at a formative age. Going through this and trying to continue to work, like, think about how haunted you have to feel if you're searching through the rubble of your parents' burned down house. You're taking care of your mother who's broken because you just lost your father in that house. And as you're searching through the rubble, you can't actually get back to work because you fall down in the rubble and injure your shoulder.
I can't even imagine the look on his face, the thoughts going through his head as he's looking up to the sky.
You got to think that house is haunted. Like, you have to believe that that house is haunted, and you have to get out of that house. You got to burn it down again. Like, get burn down everything that's in there and get the hell out of that house. When I mentioned Vince Wilfork, though, because it is, I just remember it has been rare in my history covering sports in this market where something has happened to somebody, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you cope and deal with losing both of your parents while you're at school, independent of each other? It's not even at the same time, just months apart, and both of them are surprised. But Vince Wilfork is mad. I would not want that human being mad at me. He's mad at Tom Brady, Zaslow, because Tom Brady has not picked the Patriots in the Super Bowl. He's sitting on the fence. He doesn't. I don't know whether he's trying to be objective as a broadcaster.
I think his exact quote is, "I have no dog in this fight." It's
crazy.
The opposite of what he has.
Well, but I think he may be aspiring to some sort of objectivity in his role. Like when Greg Olsen is calling a Carolina Panthers playoff game, as he did, he's supposed to be objective, and nobody was complaining about the fact that he called the game with a lack of objectivity. Here's Wilfork mad at his QB.
But Tom hasn't given an opinion, and we're waiting for an opinion from Tom.
That's bullcrap, Tom.
Thank you.
That's bullcrap, Tom.
Thank you. Come on, Tom.
Now.
Why won't he give
all that political? This ain't political.
Yeah.
It ain't political. What it is.
Yeah.
Raiders ain't in it.
Thank you, Vince.
That's right. Say what it is.
Right.
What you see.
Yep. You want to come back and say, hey, I'm a Patriot for life, then you should be rooting for him.
Man, look, at the end of the day, if you're a Patriot for life, you know what it is. Don't give me that political bull crap. That's just what it is.
That's it.
If you don't think we're going to win, just pick Seattle then.
Right.
Yeah. Don't straddle the fence.
Zaslow, Brady is a Patriot for life, even though he was a Buck. Wilfork is a Patriot for life, even though he was a Texan. Dwayne Wade is a Heat member for life, even though he was a Cav and a.
That never happened.
And a Cav? What are you
he wasn't
talking
a
about?
bull. No, never happened.
No, that's bull.
What are your thoughts here, Zaslow?
I think Brady's full of shit. It's ridiculous.
All right, very good.